There's something magical about the quiet moments before the world wakes up. For most, 5 a.m. is just another hour in the early morning. But for one man, it became the turning point in his life, the key that unlocked a future far beyond what he could have ever imagined. Let me tell you the story of James, a man who discovered that waking up early had the power to change everything. James lived in a small, rundown apartment in a bustling city. He worked long hours at a dead-end job, doing manual labor at a factory. His life was filled with struggle, waking up at the last minute, rushing to work, and then coming home exhausted with barely enough time to eat, let alone dream of a better future. He was stuck in a cycle, thinking that this was all life had to offer. His dreams felt distant, buried under the weight of his reality. Every morning, James would drag himself out of bed at the very last possible moment. He'd barely have time to shower, let alone think about anything beyond surviving the day. One fateful day, James crossed paths with an old man at the bus stop. The old man was in his 70s, but there was something about him, his posture, his calm demeanor, that stood out. James couldn't help but notice the difference between the two of them. "Good morning," the old man said with a warm smile. "You're late, aren't you?" James chuckled nervously. "Yeah, I guess I always am." The old man looked at him thoughtfully. "You know, the power of a single hour can change a person's life. The difference between success and failure, between living and simply surviving, is often how you use your time." James was taken aback. "What do you mean?" The old man leaned in closer, speaking softly. "Wake up at 5 a.m. and you'll see what I mean." The next morning, James decided to give the old man's advice a try. He set his alarm for 5 a.m., feeling both excited and nervous. When the alarm rang, he hesitated, but something inside him pushed him out of bed. At first, it was strange. Everything felt still and the world seemed asleep. But then, as James stepped outside, he realized something. The air was fresh, the streets were quiet, and the city felt peaceful. It was a moment he never experienced before. This stillness felt like a gift. James decided to use his early mornings for something different. Instead of rushing into his day, he took time for himself. He started with a short walk, then began reading books on personal growth and financial independence. Slowly, he began to develop a morning routine, something he had never had before. At first, it wasn't easy. His body was used to the chaos of his old routine, but over time, he started to feel the shift. He had more energy, more focus, and a sense of clarity that he hadn't felt in years. As weeks passed, James began to make small changes in his life. He started learning skills in the early mornings, things like budgeting, investing, and even exploring side hustles that could give him financial freedom. He read books, watched videos, and attended online workshops before he even left for work. One day, while browsing through job listings during his morning routine, James found an opportunity to apply for a higher-paying position in a different field. It wasn't a job he could have imagined landing before, but with the new skills he had learned in his mornings, he felt prepared. A few months later, James received a call. He had gotten the job. It was a huge step up, with a salary that would change everything. He couldn't believe it. His life was shifting in ways he never expected. The quiet mornings, once reserved for just surviving, had turned into the time when he was able to rebuild his life. James reflected on the old man's words. The power of a single hour can change a person's life. He had started with 1 hour, 5 a.m., and now his entire destiny was different. As James continued to wake up early, he found that the benefits of those early mornings extended beyond his career. His relationships improved, his health was better, and his mindset had completely shifted. He was no longer a man who simply worked to survive. He was a man who was actively creating a future he once thought impossible. But James also realized something important. The power of those early mornings wasn't just about getting ahead in life. It was about taking control. It was about having the discipline to choose how to spend the first hour of each day. That decision had changed everything for him. You see, waking up early isn't just about getting a head start. It's about giving yourself the time to focus on what truly matters. What would your life look like if you started your day with purpose, with intention? What could you achieve if you took that 1 hour, just 1 hour, to invest in your future? Think about it. You don't have to wait for the world to change. You can start changing your destiny right now by simply waking up at 5 a.m. and choosing to invest in yourself. It won't be easy, but the transformation will be worth it. The power of 5 a.m. is waiting for you. The question is, will you wake up to it?